Welcome people people of YouTube. This is Khanya here, your agent with your favorite agent, your property guy. Okay, listen, I have another exciting episode now. Okay, this gentleman that I'm joined by, I quote myself on my statuses when I put him on. I always say, I love this guy. I am joined by Edwin Louw. Sir, how are you doing, sir?
Top of the world, thank you very much. Good morning to you, Khanya.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show.
Privilege for me to be with you this morning.
Yeah.
It was awesome meeting you on Thursday at the road show.
Yes.
And I'm excited to share some helpful tips.
They definitely will be helpful. So currently you are what we call like a business speaker. Am I right in saying? Would I say business speaker or / motivational speaker?
I'm very much passionate about real estate, so definitely not committed, as I said on Thursday, committed with real estate. I am a business coach, business and life coach, and very much entrepreneur as well. So anything legal for cash, I will do.
I like that one. So tell us about yourself. Who is Edwin Louw?
Okay, Edwin was born on the slopes of Table Mountain. I am the youngest of 9 children. 6 boys and 3 girls. I'm a true Cape Townian. KP as they call it, as they say. And sadly my parents separated when I was 2 years old, so my mother raised 9 children on her own. Very proud of her. She was very much a dynamic woman in her own right, and learned a lot from her. Today, the biggest reason why I have so much respect for women, and like to always encourage people to honor their parents, both mother and father, even though I don't know what a father's all about. Yet my mother played the role of both. I was born back in, I won't say the year, but I have been referred to as a recycled teenager, and that has stuck with me. So I will always be a teenager. So I'm 19 years of age with many years of experience.
I love it.
So I got married 37 years ago, 1985, 2nd of November. 37 years ago, got married. Still married to the same wife, and she needs a medal, I believe. And we've been blessed with 2 beautiful children. I have a daughter of 34, still in Cape Town, and I have a son of 29, and he's in the UK. And 5 years ago, him and his wife blessed us with a grandson, so I'm also a grandfather. And my mother was born in the UK, in Leeds, and that's why I'm an ardent Leeds United supporter.
Okay.
I thought that you need to know that.
Okay, all right. I got you. So tell us, what made you decide to join real estate?
Man, many years ago, I was in a corporate communications company for many years. And then a good friend, mentor, father figure of mine, who owned his own real estate company, he approached me and he influenced me to join real estate. I was initially hesitant because I didn't consider myself being a salesperson, yet I was involved with a corporate communication company. However, because I'm passionate about people, I'm passionate about life out there, I am excited every single day just to wake up, and I'm grateful. And he is a very streetwise person, and because I felt a connection with him, I decided to join his company. Since then, today he has retired. He's handed over the reins to his children and grandchildren, and as I said, he's very streetwise, so they'll do good to latch onto him and to hold onto him tight, because he's got a lot to offer. He's still today a very good friend of mine, a father figure, as I mentioned, and very much a mentor because of him being so streetwise.
Okay, that's awesome. Looking at today's market, what would you say is the difference between today's market and back then when you started out?
Interesting question.
The thing that blows my mind is whenever I look at people who bought houses in the 90s or 80s, I see houses go for like 7,000 back then.
Okay.
I could be a property owner. Today's market, and
Absolutely. In fact, when you asked the question, I went back to the days when I joined real estate. There was a certain area in the area I was focusing where you could pick up a 2-bedroom property for 70, 80, 90,000 rand. Those properties today are selling for 1.6, 1.7, 1.8 million.
Yes.
Had I known then what I know today, I would have invested in so much more property. Property to me, I've learned from so many people out there. That's what we hear. We learn from each other. And still today, even at my ripe 19 years of age, I still have a desire to learn something new every single day. no matter who it's from. And you can always spit out the bad and keep the good.
Yes, true.
And what I learned is that property or real estate is your best ever investment, even though it's long term.
Yes.
It's your best ever investment and safest investment. You can take the profit that you're making, some of it, a portion of it, and invest, go hard,
yes.
and invest otherwise, or other places. However, real estate is your most safest, long-during investment ever.
That's true.
And so if I look at the value of those days, looking at it now, best ever decision I could have made. And it's so nice to see, to bring a buyer and a seller together, where both parties walk away happy.
Yes.
The seller's happy they got their price.
Yes.
The buyer's happy for the investment they made.
Yes.
And me as the real estate agent, I was the mediator. I brought them together, and I too am happy because I also earned something from it.
That's very true. You know, like, I am glad you mentioned that. On the training on Thursday, you said something that's so key to me and to my belief system. You said you wouldn't sell a property for certain reasons. For instance, if the buyer is getting cheated because you want to sleep peacefully at night. That's my philosophy, and that's my Jean, my boss that has since passed away. That's her philosophy. And when I entered the market, I never understood it because she would say, "No, I didn't take that property, Khanya, because it's overpriced." Then I'm like, so? Then she's like, no, like I told the seller, they want to change their price, I told them I'm walking away.
Yeah,
like I cherish that. Like that's what I live by now. Where I know, like, I want the money, but like I'm like, no, but it's not worth me cheating someone else over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all got a conscience.
Yes.
And we go to bed at night and we want to sleep comfortable. If you aren't sleeping comfortable, in my opinion, it's simply because you did somebody in. And if you aren't happy to buy that property, invest in that property, then why should you expect somebody else to invest in as well?
Yes.
Unless if you advise, inform the potential buyer that this is the condition of the property. In other words, you declare all challenges with the property, all defects with the property. Honesty. Be honest, be transparent with your client. If they know what the property's got to offer and they still want to proceed, well then you can say, okay, I've done. In other words, I've disclosed it.
Yes.
If you don't disclose, then you're hiding something.
That's really true. I loved it. It's a gem I picked up there. What golden advice would you give to someone who wants to enter the property industry as an agent?
Okay, I like that question, and I go back to an example I also used on Thursday, which I often use because it's so strong to me, it's so apt, is that the question is, you need to ask yourself in any business, but we're talking real estate right now, are you involved or are you committed? And like the example I used with Martina Navratilova, the tennis star from many years ago, when the media was asking her, how are you involved in real estate, or in your tennis career?
Yes.
And afterwards, all the questions were coming through, but every time the media person or the people from the media used the word involvement, and then she stopped them right there and said, listen, you need to understand.
Yes.
The time I wake up in the morning, what I do prior to many other people waking up, the 2-3 hours earlier than what they are waking up, what I do, what I focus on, then throughout the day, my entire program, I'm not involved with tennis, I'm committed.
Oh man.
Totally committed.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we must be in real estate. In any business out there, but specifically real estate, you need to be committed. You can't do it as a sideline business because it's going to be wishy-washy.
Yes.
You need to give your all. It's probably the most lucrative business to be in ever. Because besides managing your own time, dictating your own time, what you put in is what you get out.
That's so true. Man, I love it. There's a friend of mine.
Sorry, I just need to use another word. Is passionate. You need to be passionate about it. Passionate about people, passionate about bringing out the best in people, and just bringing people together, loving on people.
Yeah, that's a slogan I use on my pamphlets most of the time. I always say, like, I have a passion for people and a passion for property.
Absolutely.
And I always say, my wife always laughs, I say, in that order.
In that order.
I love people first.
Awesome.
But like what that example makes me think of about committed, like, there's a friend of mine who likes to say, he says, some games you can't play unless you are all in.
Absolutely.
I love it so much.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
Totally committed.
Yeah. So tell us, I always love this, tell us your worst property industry story.
Wow.
And you don't have to mention names.
Okay, I won't mention names.
Yeah.
You know, there was a mentor of mine as well. Sadly, he's passed on. He said that if you try and satisfy everybody, you're bound to fail. And that is so true. You can try your best, no matter where you go. You can have the best of intentions. You really would like to bring out the best in everybody around you. However, there'll always be one or two or three or more who will just never be satisfied.
That's true.
But that is their problem. They have got an issue with themselves.
Yes.
They've got an issue with life.
Yes.
So no matter what you do,
it will never satisfy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this one specific property, when I was still junior in real estate, the seller, it was one of my first sole mandates, by the way. And I say sole mandates because that's the focus, sole mandates.
Yes.
And this person wanted to, this potential buyer wanted to make an offer, and she asked me to meet her at her house. Okay, and those days we were more comfortable meeting it at the office, safe environments, that type of thing. But she said, please, I would like you to see me at my house. So I went there, and the property was in the market, and I stand under correction, call me a liar, for 10 or 20,000 rand. I think it was around about 125,000 rand. Okay, 3-bedroom house, single garage, that type of thing. And she said, right, where's your offer to purchase? So I took it out and got all the details, and when it came to say, right, when I asked the question, so what would you like to commit to? What are you prepared to offer? And she made a ridiculous offer, like a third of the price, something like 30,000-40,000 rand. And I said to her, ma'am, we need to understand something now. I'm representing the seller, even though you're a potential client as well, I'm representing the seller, and I know what the seller, what their plans are and what their minimum figure is. We're nowhere near with 30,000-40,000. We're nowhere near where the seller would like to be. And then she went on and she went into it. She was almost like a different mindset. She went into a rage, and I thought, what's happening here? What's happening here? And she went and locked her doors. She locked all the doors, closed all the windows, pulled down all the blinds. And I was held hostage, not physically, but I was held hostage in this woman's house. And she said, you'll sit down there and you'll take down my offer, and you will not leave here until my offer is in black and white. And as a junior agent, I was very stressed out, and things were going through my mind. Doors locked, windows closed, and she, in fact, not in so many words, but she threatened me and said, if you don't do what I would like you to do, I can make a lot of noise, and there can be allegations. And I really took a seat, and I thought to myself, Edwin, you need to get out of this. And I'm a man of faith, I'm a Christian, so I just said a silent prayer, and a very quick second prayer, but I know the good Lord above is always listening to us. And I just said a simple prayer, and I kept my pose, my pose. And I said, okay, fine, let's do this. So I put in an offer, and I said it was like 30,000-40,000 rand. I said, I'll present the offer, however I can make no promises. She made me promise that I had to submit this offer, present this offer, and convince the seller that because she herself in the past was also a real estate agent, she knows the market, she knows what property is all about, I must present this offer, and I've got an obligation to do it. And I said, yes, I do have an obligation, however, it needs to be realistic. And when she got in another mode, and I could see the mind and her body language, I thought, it was like, Edwin, just do this. Once you're out, you can tear up the offer. So I did what I needed to do, and it was the longest I've ever said goodbye to a client, because we're probably 5 meters away from the door, but it took forever. It probably felt like 5 hours. When I got into my car, I was in a cold sweat, and I drove away, and I looked up and said, thank you to the kind man above, and that was an experience I would never ever forget. And I took that offer to purchase, and I phoned the seller, and I said, I just need to share with you what I just went through. And today we are still very good friends with the seller. We're still very good friends.
I thought you said you were the buyer.
No, I never ever saw the buyer. That was a bad experience.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm glad you made it out of it.
Thank you very much.
With the interest rate climbing up and up, what is your advice to first-time homeowners or first-time buyers?
You know, Khanya, I've also learned over the years, there's never a wrong time to buy real estate. Never ever a wrong time to buy real estate. And it's always good to get into the market. Yes, I also believe very much strongly in an article I read some while back that even renting a property is an asset, because you you can, after 6 months, or it depends on the lease agreement, you can decide, okay, this place isn't meant for me, I don't like the area, surroundings, that type of thing, I want to move to another place. So there's nothing wrong in renting a property. Until you are settled and you're happy with the area and the price and you have prepared accordingly your budget, that type of thing. However, there's never, even if you're not happy with where you personally want to stay, there's never ever a wrong time to buy real estate, invest in real estate, especially if you have a plan to rent it out, to buy to let, for example. And that is probably the best thing that you can ever do. Even if you don't want to live in the property yourself, you can rent in the waterfront, you can rent wherever you want to. However, if you can get your foot in the market as soon as possible, it would be great. I've experienced, because I've been in the market for more than 20 decades now, I have experienced the highs and lows of real estate. I've experienced interest rates very low, I've experienced interest rates very high. I personally used to live up in Zevenwacht back in 2000 and from 2005 to 2008. In 2008 was the market crash and everybody felt the pinch. And I had to make drastic decisions those days. So I know what it's like. However, it is always a good time to buy real estate, because when times are tough, the people who've got the money are the ones who invest in real estate, because they pick up bargains.
That's true.
Okay?
That's true.
So when's it a good time to buy? Anytime. There's always the people, not the people, but in general, potential buyers out there have always got an opportunity to buy, invest in real estate, because they are all, unfortunately, the 5 Ds as we know in real estate, death, people die. We're all going to die one day.
That's true.
And there's always going to be something left over. But in most cases, people go into debt, unfortunately. No matter how the interest rates are out there, people are in debt. Some people have planned accordingly, so they're okay. Divorce, sadly. I come from a family where the divorce has been as well, so I know what it's all about. And then desired departure, people leave the country, people leave the town, and then people desire to go from big to small, or vice versa. So those 5 Ds will always be applicable no matter what the market's like. Whether interest rates are sky high or rock bottom, those 5 Ds will always be there.
That's true, that's true. Oh, man, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure.
What are the things that you feel an agent must make sure to communicate to a seller before he or she lists their property?
Interesting. First and foremost, I'd always like to encourage an agent, a property practitioner.
Oh, that's what we are now, yeah.
Property practitioner. We are professionals.
Yes.
We're professionals.
Yes.
And just before I answer the question, I have to remind myself and you and everybody else out there that as a real estate agent, as a property professional, there's so much more than just that expected from us. I have mediated between husband and wife. I've saved marriages.
That's true.
I have been a financial advisor. I have been a mediator. I've, as I mentioned, I've saved marriages. I've been the actual mediator, prevented persons from going to see an attorney to pay a lot of money, a litigation attorney or a divorce attorney, and I've kept people together like that. Sadly, not all of them were successful. However, that's what we are. So we are psychologists, we are psychiatrists, we are everything. You name it, we can do it, right? And some more experienced than others. So going back to the question, I always focused on the fact that the client reached out to me says something, number one. So when I went to visit them on site, wherever the appointment was, I would always encourage them strongly to identify one agent, one property professional, and give them a sole mandate. That is the first thing I'd always encourage them to do. And I would say to them, even if you don't use me, I'd strongly encourage you to do that. Worst case scenario, give a joint mandate to 2 agents, okay?
I like that.
But not a 50-50 split or 80-20 split, winner takes all. Winner takes all, because then both agents will be committed, fully committed to give up their best, because they're fighting for what they deserve, what they're entitled to. Okay? Not that we should have any sense of entitlement, but that is also right. So to me, I would walk away from the client and say, this is my, in other words, I would do a presentation. I would explain to them how my marketing plan works and get a commitment from them in writing, black and white, get that sole mandate. And I would even say to a client, I don't need to have a 3-month mandate. Yes, I would love to have a 3-month mandate. I'd love to have a 6-month mandate, but then I'm telling you, I'm going to take 6 months to sell your property. I don't want to do that. I'm even happy to take a month, one single month. I've even taken a week, just to show a client how committed I am. Because in that week, I'd give them knock your socks off service. So that when it comes to the end of the week and they see I haven't sold it, probably they'll be happy to extend.
Yeah,
okay?
it's beautiful.
But that was like once or twice in my recent career. However, I've often taken a 1 month mandate, especially when people say, oh, I don't trust mandates. I don't. It's you shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
I then ask the client why. Tell me why. Help me to understand why you don't like a sole mandate. And more often than not, you find that they don't understand what it's all about.
That's true.
Once I make it clear what it's all about, they're more than likely, and most often, will give me the sole mandate.
Yeah.
If not for a month, at least in 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would encourage the mandate definitely. Number two, I would encourage them to be the potential buyer and walk through the property and be critical. Identify anything that stands out that they would not be happy with, and make a list of those items and then rectify it. Okay? I would also ensure that they disclose everything. That they do not, and we know the latent and patent defects.
Yes.
I mean, I remember sitting in a house many years ago where there was a patent or a latent defect. I drilled. My wife had asked me to hang up a mirror in the ensuite, and I looked at the ensuite, the piping, the shower head, and the bath head, and all the taps. And I thought to myself, okay, fine, this is probably going to be the safest place to drill a hole. And I drilled a hole, and I was center into the hot water pipe. And the water came streaming out. I had to get a friend of mine who was a plumber, and he made a big hole, and he repaired it for me. But I was not comfortable sealing that hole again. I thought to myself, okay, fine, I'm going to hang the mirror over. When we sold that house many years ago, I said to the buyer, I need to share with you, I disclosed something. I said to him, this mirror, if I take the mirror away, and I took it away, and I said, this hole is over there. This is what I did many years ago. What's happened, okay? However, we've got two options. If I need to close that hole, I'll do it for you, but then the mirror goes with me. But it's a big mirror. Because my wife's an interior decorator, so she knows what she's doing. And I said, if I have to close the hole, I'm taking the mirror with me. However, if you want the mirror, the hole stays as is.
Perfect.
And he took the mirror. Okay, so there we go. So look, disclosure is vital, because the last thing you want to ever happen is once you've sold the property to somebody, that buyer becomes your client, okay? And I'm all about building and maintaining lasting relationships, not just a once-off sale. Many of my clients today have become friends. And so disclosing definitely, and knowing that a year or two later, if that buyer to find that the hole behind the mirror, he would have been very impressed with me.
That's very true.
And I want to sleep comfortable.
That's very true.
What else can I share with you in that regard? I would also say that the seller gets the house ready to present. It's like doing any presentation, you want to be prepared. You want to welcome guests. You want your potential buyers to feel welcome when they come to your property. You don't want to have things hanging all over the place.
Yes.
So that is possibly, that is more likely part of what I would share with a potential seller.
No, I got you. You know, the crazy thing about it is when I joined real estate, it took me about nearly a year for me to get my first deal.
Okay.
It was tough, eh? So like I got a sole mandate, my first deal, sole mandate. I was so happy. Sole mandate for 6 months.
Awesome.
Yeah, but like I never sold that property, and like what happened was it taught me that I don't really need a sole mandate for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like what you're saying, because I'm saying like if I take a sole mandate for 6 months, I'm only gonna sell it in 6 months. So now what I take is I'll take a 2 months or 3 months, but like after that, then I'll be like I can open it up to other agents. But like I never take a 6 month sole mandate now. Like that experience taught me.
Can I share with you something else, Khanya? Yeah. To me, mindset is I've got a growth mindset. I really desire to grow every single day.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a recycled teenager. When I go to a property, even if I'm just marketing the area, farming in the area, I visualize my for sale board outside the property. So when I walk to the front door, I visualize Edwin Louw, real estate, there's my for sale board. Once it's planted, I drive around the area and I visualize Edwin Louw sold. I visualize it. The mind is very powerful. So I'm very much into visualization.
Yeah.
And that is what I've been doing for many, many years, and I can share with you so many success stories in that regard. So I visualize the for sale board, I visualize the sold board. And I'd like to encourage any agent out there to do the same.
Okay.
Another thing, and I might be going slightly off point now, but it's just come to mind.
Yeah.
And I never had much time on Thursday to mention this as well.
Okay.
I'd truly like to encourage real estate agents to celebrate each other's success.
Oh yes.
Because often, and I think this is where we come from in the past, we would be, if somebody is successful, we tend to like get jealous, and we're not excited for them, and that, in other words, the signals you're sending out comes back to you.
That's true.
What goes around comes
around, yeah.
And today still, there are too many property professionals. I won't call them professionals because that's not really being very professional. They are real estate agents. They are agents. There's something secret about them. But if you're a property professional, you're going to be going about celebrating people's success out there with them, whether it be your colleague in the office, or whether your colleagues in the office, or whether it be your competition out there. Be happy for them, because every time you're happy for them, there are hormones released, and it's happy hormones. Okay, and so every time they are successful, you feel the same, and it keeps you in the same mindset, the same mind frame, and you will be then drawn to success as well.
Yeah, I love it. There was a mind shift that happened to me a few months after entering real estate, because when I entered, all the other competition, I hated them.
Yes.
I hated all the other agents. Yes. But then as I saw how my colleagues relate to other agents, my boss relates to other agents, I was like, I'm the only one who's out here hating competition.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, I get you.
Competition is good.
It is.
Keeps us on our toes.
That's so true. Okay. What do you enjoy the most about the work that you currently do, like the speaking work and stuff?
Good question. As I said to you earlier, I'm very much committed to real estate. And however, as we mature, as I said to you, I'm a recycled teenager with many years' experience. As we mature, we see what's more important in life.
Yes.
And yes, making money is always very nice. We need to put bread on the table.
Yeah.
We need to provide for our families. However, I am at a stage in my life where I desire every single day when I wake up my desire is to inspire and to empower people. No matter what walk of life you come from, no matter what your culture is. Yeah. I desire to inspire and also to learn from them. I have a desire to have a positive impact on people's lives. And if I can add value to people, I would be able to influence them, hopefully for good.
Yes.
And by influencing people, it will come back to you, and that is where the success is for me. And that success will lead to other benefits, which includes money. But that is not my focus. If you focus on money all the time, your client can see it in your body language.
That's true.
They see it, they can feel it.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to be building and maintaining lasting relationships. However, if you are out there to bring out the best in them and to give the best to them of yourself, you'll have a positive influence on them, and that influence will lead to them being happy. And their happiness is my happiness, and then we're all happy, and that leads to it's just happy. Everything comes together.
That's beautiful. Like that reminds me of sometimes when you are good to people and you do what you say you do, it sometimes might not benefit you, but maybe your children or your great-grandchildren.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It reminds me of the story of David and Jonathan in the Bible, where they were friends, and Jonathan was good to David while his father was pursuing to kill him.
Yeah.
And then when Jonathan dies, David is king, and then David remembers that Jonathan was good to him and asks, is there anyone living from the house of Jonathan that I might do favor to? So like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite property industry stories? I always love this, like a positive experience.
No, Khanya, I've had many positive experiences, and because I strive to always have a positive impact or influence on people, I've had many over the years. However, the one I shared on Thursday, I don't even recall, was when I sold a property totally beyond my boundaries, in an area where there were top agencies, I'm talking about top agencies, had sold mandates for the properties for 3 months, 6 months at a time, and nothing happened. And even the sellers attempted a for sale by owner approach, and they had show houses, nothing. There were people there, but nothing came of it. And let's say 12 months later, they approached me because I'd sold the property for them in the area they lived in previously. And because I was so far away, and we're talking now 2 hours drive from Cape Town, and I won't mention the area to protect the innocent. And they approached me, and I said, the best I can do is put the property on my website, and which I did. And on my 50th birthday, That is why. That's why I said the month of June is my birth month. It's my lucky month. And the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Actually, mine too. So we share it. We'll share it.
There we go. And as I mentioned to the harder I work, the luckier I get. So that's my lucky month. And on my 50th birthday, while we were at a specific venue having fun together, I got a phone call from the potential buyer to say I'd like to do the property. Because I was so far from the property, I asked the buyer to just hang tight. I phoned the seller and I said, please, ask them kindly, please take the buyer through the property, but don't communicate anything with him. Don't talk anything about price. Just take him through the property. And the less you say, the less you say, the better. The less is more. And which they did. And then on the Sunday evening, I called the potential buyer, and he was from Cape Town, and I asked them, how did you feel about the property? And they asked me to come and see them the next day, on Monday morning. Then I realized, okay, something, this buyer is serious. I went to see them the next morning, and they asked me if the seller was negotiable. And because I knew the seller very well, and I knew exactly where they came from, and what the bigger picture was, and their why, I was able to say, yes, they are definitely negotiable. However, let's start somewhere. Let's commit to an offer, which they did. And I won't get into too much detail, but the short end of the story is that the seller was in tears, very happy. The buyer, they were very emotional and very attached to the property. I brought these two people together, and me as the property professional, it was the highest commission ever. And all parties were very, very happy.
That's beautiful.
So I still remember, I treasure that experience.
That's beautiful. I always explain to people, like when they ask about like registration, like what is this term registration? And I say registration is the day that property practitioners live for. That's the day that agents live for, because we are rich for 4 days after that. 4 days. Just for 4 days.
Absolutely. We have to cover up all the holes that we created over the years.
That's so true. Last question. Sure. Thank you so much for taking this time out to be with us. And I'm just going to step away, and then I want the camera to focus on you, because it's Youth Month.
Okay. Yes.
And I'm doing all of this to mostly empower the youth. That's my target market, because I didn't know much about real estate until I was in it. Like I knew nothing. I was shocked when I found out like all the things that, all the benefits, all the disadvantages, all the information I never knew about it. Hence I started this property channel. So to empower people who are either coming out of university or first-time buyers and stuff like that, so they can know their way around the property industry. So the question to you is, knowing what you know now, and it doesn't have to be about property because you shared all of that stuff, but knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self or 21-year-old self, knowing what you know now? And I'm going to step away.
So, what I would tell my 21-year-old self is that we are entitled to nothing in life. And what we achieve in life, whether it be for ourselves personally or for those who we are close to, is entirely up to us. Yes, life will throw curveballs, and there will be speed bumps, and there will be traffic lights, and there will be splinters, there will be sprains, there will be broken legs. However, if you know what your why is, if you know your ultimate goal, as Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, stated, begin with the end in mind. So if you know what the end is, if you know what your why is, if you know what your goal is, all these other sideshows and hiccups and bruises as part of the journey. If we are only focused on the journey and not prepared to experience the pains that go with it, then we're going to fall short. As I said in the beginning, we are entitled to nothing out there. We need to put in. So in other words, what you put in is what you get out. And if your desire is to serve your fellow man, if your desire is to be there and bring out the best in the people around you, then things will happen. And I seriously believe in the law of attraction. What you put out there is what's going to come back to you. So do good, and you'll see it'll come back to you. Serve your fellow man, you'll see it'll come back to you. Be the best person, the best version of yourself, it'll come back to you. So mutual respect, common courtesy for your fellow man in all that you do. Focus on bringing out the best in people, as I mentioned, and you will see you'll be blessed with a life that you haven't got space enough to count all the blessings.